Hello everyone, welcome to ChessVisor, your wise choice to improve your chess. In today's video, I'm going to show you a game played between Gukesh D and Abdusattorov nodirbek. And this game was played in 44th Chess Olympiad, Chennai, round number 10. So before we begin this video, if you're watching this channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified for the future videos. So here Gukesh was handling the white pieces, so he opens the game with one d4. And after this, Abdusattorov nodirbek replies with knight f6. We have c4, pawn to e6, and we have knight f3, anti-Nimzo Indian on board. So we have d5, and now it is transposed into the queen's gambit decline line. So what variation we have? Ragozin on board. So queen a4 check, knight c6 blocking the check and defending the bishop, and we have pawn e3. So here nodirbek simply castles on the king side, and we have bishop to d2 unpinning the knight. So we have pawn to a5, and now questioning to the bishop, so a3. And here nodirbek decides to give up the bishop here. So after bishop takes c3, we have bishop takes c3. I think his idea is put the knight into the center of the board. So here we have two main moves, that is knight to e7 and knight to e4. And in the game nodirbek plays the move knight e7. So queen c2 coming back, b6, and we have pawn to b3, and after bishop a6 we have pawn to a4. And here Gukesh gives up this square for the knight. Now nodirbek will try to get that square with his knight. So he plays the move knight e4 first, and we have bishop to b2, knight c6, and we have bishop a3, getting ready to capture the knight when it arrives on b4 square. So he plays the move knight b4, and immediately he chops it off. So bishop takes b4, a takes b4, and we have bishop d3. And now we are threatening to capture twice on e4, so knight goes back. So after this, Gukesh simply castles on the king side, and we have pawn to c5 trying to open the center. And here Gukesh simply captures on c5 with a d takes c5, and we have b takes c5. And in this position Gukesh plays an excellent move with that is e4. The point is very simple. Now we are actually forcing black's hand to do something in the center. You cannot ignore this, because you cannot simply push down the pawn, because that will kick the knight immediately. Our bishop will get a beautiful diagonal, and not only that, the h7 is already hanging. So all in all, it's a very good position for white. So you must react for this threat. So he plays the move d takes e4, and after bishop takes e4, if you look at this position carefully, there are few things you should take away from this position. The thing is, our rooks are connected, and one of them is going to come into the d file very quickly. And moreover, if you look at black's position or the pawn structure, he has got a weakness on c5 as well as on b4. Once c5 falls, and b4 will automatically fall. So that is the point, or that is the strategy we should focus on now. And also our bishop is very good when comparing nodirbek's bishop, and also the knight is okay. So here all in all, white is clearly better here. So rook a7, because that was under attack. So knight e5 going into the center, queen d6, and now we have rook fe1 tactically defending the knight. So we cannot touch the knight, because we have bishop takes h7 and winning the queen and the game. So he plays the move knight takes e4, removing the strong bishop. Queen takes e4, and after this move he plays the move rook to d8 here. So in this position, if you are thinking about this move, we could simply play the move queen to g4, queen to d3. So all these responses can be played. So but in the game he played the move rook to d8, and here simply Gukesh drops the queen to f3, that covers d1 square, and that means he is going to put one of his rooks now. So here he plays the move queen c7, sensing that idea. So he plays rook a d1. So nodirbek plays rook a8, defending his brother. So rook takes d8 check, rook takes d8, rook to d1. And in this position, if you take off the rooks like this, and it clearly white is clearly better, he will play against this weakness, and he may win the ending very quickly. But in the game he played the move rook c8, and we have a winning continuation here. But in the game he did not go down that line, rather he played a queen g3 move. The winning continuation would be to play the move queen h5. What is the point? The point is very simple. I want to go rook to d7. So here to prevent that idea, black should play the move pawn f5. So let's say pawn f4, defending the knight, because we cannot go immediately. So queen e7, and now we have rook d7. and after queen f6, pawn h3, rook f8, and we have king h2, bishop c8, and then after rook a7, white is clearly winning the game. So black cannot get out of this not very easily. So but in the game, Gukesh played the other move, that is queen g3, but it's okay to play the play the move, but it is not that it is not gaining that advantage which we saw earlier. So queen g3, we have pawn h5, we have pawn h3, rook d8 by nodirbek, and we have rook takes d8, queen takes d8, and in the game he continued with the move knight to d3. He could have played queen f3 here, that is also one variation, queen f3, and then hitting twice, I mean hitting two weaknesses at once. But after f6 we can go knight to d3, attacking the pawn, and we can even force the queen trade, and if he trades the queen, that would be great for Gukesh, and he will win the game. But in the game they did not go down this line, rather they played Gukesh played directly knight d3, pointing out that you are having a weakness on c5. So here Nodirbek simply attacks the queen. He plays queen e3. Now the pawn is attacked twice now, so bishop b7, and here bishop b7. After that he played the move f3, which the computer does not like it. The computer would want to capture the pawn immediately, but he played f3, and after queen d6 we have king f1. So he could have captured c5 now also. I don't know why he didn't. So after king f1 we have e5, knight takes c5 finally. So we have bishop to c8, king e1, and bishop f5. Bishop f5, after that a5, pushing the passer, queen c7, and even we have a6. After bishop to c8, knight to d3, dropping the knight back and giving up a pawn for the center pawn. So after bishop takes a6 we have queen takes e5, and we do have the pawn on c file now. So after this he plays the move queen b6, and here the white should simply defend the g1 by moving the king to f1, but he plays the other move knight c5, blocking the queen's diagonal, but that also improves his knight's post. But here he plays the move queen a5, coming we cannot leave this diagonal because of this annoying checks coming. So he played the move king d1, okay, trying to switching the side to the queen side so that we can cover or we can defend the pawn. But the problem is he has one pawn on b4 that is covering the dark squares that can be utilized by the black queen, so that's a problem actually. But in the game he played king d1, we have queen d8 check, king c2, bishop c8, knight e4, bishop e6, and now also we have two moves, that is queen d6, queen g5, to force the trade. But he played the move king b2, and that allowed black to play the move queen a8. And here if you look at this position carefully, we may run into a what do you say, some repetition also, or forced perpetual. So what happened in the game really will shock you actually. So he played the move knight c5 here, and he allowed queen a3 check. Now all the advantages what was he was having, but all of them has been neutralized now. So he played king b1, and Nodirbek plays g6, and he now realizes that okay, white doesn't have anything to prove here. So he played g6, king c2, queen a2 check, queen b2, bishop f5 check, knight e4, blocking the check, and we have queen a7, king d3, queen g1, queen c2, putting every piece into this spin. So queen c5 we have, and then Gukesh plays queen d2, we have queen g1, king c2, queen a1, king d3, and after that he played queen g1. So queen e2, I thought okay, the game is going to be repeated and they will get the draw, but the problem is already Prague was winning the game. So Abdusattorov doesn't want to repeat the move and get the drop, so he goes for a win here actually. So queen a7, queen e3, queen a2, whenever the queens are on the board, it doesn't matter whether it is a minor piece along with the queen. When your king doesn't have a safe square or safe home to hide, this is what will happen. So queen a2, we have king d4, queen takes g2, and knight g5, f6, and now queen e8 check, king g7, queen e7 check, and after king we have knight f7 check, and after king h5 we don't have anything to follow up. If you take this pawn, we have this skewer, so you are going to lose the queen and the game, so we cannot play that. So he plays the move king c5, getting out of this diagonal, but the problem is we have queen takes f3, After queen takes f6, we have queen e3 check, and once we pick up the h3 pawn, nodirbek's pawn will be rolling much faster than the white's pawn. So we have king takes b4 here, bishop takes h3, and after this move he played knight e5. Still Gukesh was holding this position. There was no problem except one problem, that is time pressure. So here queen d2 check, king b5, we have bishop d7 check, and after king c5 he played queen e3 check, and we had king b4 here, and after bishop f5 Gukesh plays queen h8 check. He blocks the check with queen h6, and we have queen d8, and after queen g7, and here Gukesh was under very very big time pressure, or he was in a very tremendous time pressure, so he blunders the game by playing knight f3, leaving the knight undefended, and allows this beautiful fork. And here in this position the game goes no further because Gukesh resigns the game. So that's it for the day. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I have given the PGN in the description. If you want to, you can check. So still, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel Chess Visor, please consider subscribing to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified for the future videos. And I have linked the previous videos and suggestions in the screen, so if you want, you can continue watching them. And as usual, this is Chess Visor, your wise choice to improve your chess.